Thought projection. Thoughts may be projected by following the last mentioned method, distant healing, and others will feel the effect of thought so sent forth, it being remembered always that no evil thought can ever injure another person whose thoughts are good. Good thoughts are always positive to bad ones, and bad ones are always negative to good ones. One can, however, excite the interest and attention of another by sending him thought waves in this way, charging the prana with the message he wishes to convey. If you desire another's love and sympathy, and possess love and sympathy for him, you can send him thoughts of this kind with effect, providing your motives are pure. Never, however, attempt to influence another to his hurt, or from impure or selfish motives, as such thoughts only recoil upon the sender with redoubled force and injure him, while the innocent party is not affected. Psychic force, when legitimately used, is all right, but beware of black magic or improper and unholy uses of it, as such attempts are like playing with a dynamo, and the person attempting such things will be surely punished by the result of the act itself. However, no person of impure motives ever acquires a great degree of psychic power, and a pure heart and mind is an invulnerable shield against improper psychic power. Keep yourself pure, and nothing can hurt you. Forming an aura. If you are ever in the company of persons of a low order of mind, and you feel the depressing influence of their thought, breathe rhythmically a few times, thus generating an additional supply of prana, and then by means of the mental image method surround yourself with an egg-shaped thought aura, which will protect you from the gross thought and disturbing influences of others. Recharge yourself. If you feel that your vital energy is at a low ebb and that you need to store up a new supply quickly, the best plan is to place the feet close together, side by side of course, and to lock the fingers of both hands in any way that seems the most comfortable. This closes the circuit, as it were, and prevents any escape of prana through the extremities. Then breathe rhythmically a few times and you will feel the effect of the recharging. Recharging others. If some friend is deficient in vitality, you may aid him by sitting in front of him, your toes touching his, and his hands in yours. Then both breathe rhythmically, you forming the mental image of sending prana into his system, and he holding the mental image of receiving the prana. Persons of weak vitality or passive will should be careful with whom they try this experiment, as the prana of a person of evil desires will be colored with the thoughts of that person, and may give him a temporary influence over the weaker person. The latter, however, may easily remove such influence by closing the circuit as before mentioned and breathing a few rhythmic breaths, following with the cleansing breath. Charging water. Water may be charged with prana by breathing rhythmically and holding the glass of water by the bottom in the left hand, and then gathering the fingers of the right hand together and shaking them gently over the water, as if you were shaking drops of water off of your fingertips into the glass. The mental image of the prana being passed into the water must also be held. Water thus charged is found stimulating to weak or sick persons, particularly if a healing thought accompanies the mental image of the transfer of the prana. The caution given in the last exercise applies also to this one, although the danger exists only in a greatly lessened degree. Acquiring mental qualities. Not only can the body be controlled by the mind under direction of the will, but the mind itself can be trained and cultivated by the exercise of the controlling will. The mere calm demand of the will accomplish wonders in this direction, but if the mental exercise is accompanied by rhythmic breathing, the effect is greatly increased. Desirable qualities may be acquired by holding the proper mental image of what is desired during rhythmic breathing. Poise and self-control, desirable qualities, increased power, etc., may be acquired in this way. Undesirable qualities may be eliminated by cultivating the opposite qualities. Any or all the mental science exercises, treatments, and affirmations may be used with the yogi rhythmic breath. The following is a good general exercise for the acquirement and development of desirable mental qualities. Lie in a passive attitude or sit erect. Picture to yourself the qualities you desire to cultivate, seeing yourself as possessed of the qualities, and demanding that your mind develop the quality. Breathe rhythmically, holding the mental picture firmly. Carry the mental picture with you as much as possible and endeavor to live up to the ideal that you have set up in your mind. You will find yourself gradually growing up to your ideal. The rhythm of the breathing assists the mind in forming new combinations, and the student who has followed the Western system will find the yogi rhythmic a wonderful ally in his mental science works. Acquiring physical qualities. Physical qualities may be acquired by the same methods as above mentioned in connection with mental qualities. We do not mean, of course, the short men can be made tall, or the amputated limbs may be replaced, or similar miracles. But the expression of the countenance may be changed. Courage and general physical characteristics improved by the control of the will, accompanied by rhythmic breathing. As a man thinks, so does he look, act, walk, sit, etc. Improved thinking will mean improved looks and actions. To develop any part of the body, direct the attention to it, while breathing rhythmically, holding the mental picture that you are sending an increased amount of prana or nerve force to the part, and thus increasing its vitality and developing it. This plan applies equally well to any part of the body which you wish to develop. The student who has followed our instructions so far will readily understand how to apply the yogi principles in the above work. The general rule of exercise is the same as in the preceding exercise, acquiring mental qualities. We have touched upon the subject of the care of physical ailments in preceding pages. Controlling the emotions. The undesirable emotions such as fear, worry, anxiety, hate, anger, jealousy, envy, melancholy, excitement, grief, etc., are amenable to the control of the will, and the will is enabled to operate more easily in such cases if rhythmic breathing is practiced while the student is willing. The following exercise has been found most effective by the yogi students, although the advanced yogi has but little need of it, as he has long since gotten rid of those undesirable mental qualities by growing spiritually beyond them. The yogi student, however, finds the exercise a great help to him while he is growing. Breathe rhythmically, concentrating the attention upon the solar plexus and sending it to the mental command, get out. Send the mental command firmly, just as you begin to exhale, and form the mental picture of the undesirable emotions being carried away with the exhaled breath. Repeat 7 times and finish with the cleansing breath, and then see how good you feel. The mental command must be given in earnest, as trifling will not do the work. Transmutation of the reproductive energy. The yogis possess great knowledge regarding the use and abuse of the reproductive principle in both sexes. Some hints of this esoteric knowledge have filtered out and have been used by Western writers on the subject, and much good has been accomplished in this way. In this book, we will give a practical breathing exercise whereby the student will be enabled to transmute the reproductive energy into vitality for the entire system instead of dissipating it and wasting it in lustful indulgences in or out of the marriage relations. The reproductive energy is creative energy and may be taken up by the system and transmuted into the strength and vitality. The reproductive energy is creative energy and may be taken up by the system and transmuted into strength and vitality, thus serving the purpose of regeneration instead of generation. This transmutation of the reproductive energy gives great vitality to those practicing it. They will be filled with great vital force, which will radiate from them and will manifest in what has been called personal magnetism. The energy thus transmuted may be turned into new channels and used to great advantage. Nature has condensed one of its most powerful manifestations of prana into reproductive energy, as its purpose is to create. The greatest amount of vital force is concentrated in the smallest area. The reproductive organism is the most powerful storage battery in animal life, and its force can be drawn upward and used as well as expended in the ordinary functions of reproduction or wasted in riotous lust. The majority of our students know something of the theories of regeneration, and we can do little more than to state the above facts without attempting to prove them. The yogi exercise for transmuting reproductive energy is simple. It is coupled with rhythmic breathing and can be easily performed. It may be practiced at any time, but is specifically recommended when one feels the instinct most strongly, at which time the reproductive energy is manifesting and may be most easily transmuted for regenerative purposes. The exercise is as follows. Keep the mind fixed on the idea of energy and away from sexual thoughts or imaginings. If these thoughts come into the mind, do not be discouraged, but regard them as manifestations of a force which you intend using for the purposes of strengthening the body and mind. Lie passively or sit erect and fix your mind on the idea of drawing the reproductive energy upward towards the solar plexus, where it will be transmuted and stored away as a reserve for vital energy. Lie passively or sit erect and fix your mind on the idea of drawing the reproductive energy upward to the solar plexus, where it will be transmuted and stored away as a reserve force of vital energy. Then breathe rhythmically, forming the mental image of drawing up the reproductive energy with each inhalation. With each inhalation, make a command of the will that the energy be drawn upward from the reproductive organization to the solar plexus. If the rhythm is fairly established and the mental image is clear, you will be conscious of the upward passage of the energy and will feel its stimulating effect. If you desire an increase in mental force, you may draw it up in the brain instead of to the solar plexus by giving the mental command and holding the mental image of the transmission to the brain. The man or woman doing mental creative work or bodily creative work will be able to use this creative energy in their work by following the above exercise. Drawing up the energy with the inhalation and sending it forth with the exhalation. In this last form of exercise, only such portions as are needed in the work will pass into the work being done, the balance remaining stored up in the solar plexus. You will understand, of course, that it is not the reproductive fluids which are drawn up and used, but the etheric pranic energy which animates the latter, the soul of the reproductive organism, as it were. It is usual to allow the head to bend forward easily and naturally during the transmuting exercise. Brain stimulating. The yogis have found the following exercise most useful in stimulating the action of the brain for the purpose of producing clear thinking and reasoning. It has a wonderful effect in clearing the brain and nervous system, and those engaged in mental work will find it most useful to them, both in the direction of enabling them to do better work and also as a means of refreshing the mind and clearing it after arduous mental labor. Sit in an erect posture, keeping the spinal column straight and the eyes well to the front, letting the hands rest on the upper part of the legs. Breathe rhythmically, but instead of breathing through both nostrils as in the ordinary exercises, press the left nostril close with the thumb and inhale through the right nostril. Then remove the thumb and close the right nostril with the finger and then exhale through the left nostril. Then, without changing the fingers, inhale through the left nostril and changing fingers, exhale through the right. Then inhale through the right and exhale through the left, and so on, alternating nostrils as above mentioned, closing the unused nostril with the thumb or forefinger. This is one of the oldest forms of yogi breathing and is quite important and valuable and is very well worthy of achievement. The grand yogi psychic breath. The yogis have a favorite form of psychic breathing which they practice occasionally, to which has been given a Sanskrit term of which the above is a general equivalent. We have given it last as it requires practice on the part of the student in the line of rhythmic breathing and mental imagery, which he has now acquired by means of the preceding exercises. The general principles of the grand breath may be summed up in the old Hindu saying, "Blessed is the yogi who can breathe through his bones." This exercise will fill the entire system with prana, and the student will emerge from it with every bone, muscle, nerve, cell, tissue, organ, and part energized and attuned by the prana and the rhythm of the breath. It is a general house cleaning of the system, and he who practices it carefully will feel as if he had been given a new body, freshly created from the crowns of his head to the tips of his toes. We will let the exercise speak for itself. First, lie in a relaxed position at perfect ease. Then breathe rhythmically until the rhythm is perfectly established. Third, then inhaling and exhaling from the mental image of the breath being drawn upon through the bones of the legs and then forced out through them. Then through the bones of the arms, then through the top of the skull, then through the stomach, then through the reproductive region. Then as if it were traveling upward and downward along the spinal column. And then as if the breath were being inhaled and exhaled through every pore of the skin, the whole body being filled with prana and life. Fourth, still breathing rhythmically, send the current of prana to the 7 vital centers in turn as follows, using the mental picture as in previous exercises. A, to the forehead. B, to the back of the head. C, to the base of the brain. D, to the solar plexus. E, to the sacral region, the lower part of the spine. F, to the region of the navel. G, to the reproductive organ. And finish by sweeping the current of prana to and fro from head to feet several times. And of course, finish with the cleansing breath. The yogis not only bring about desired mental qualities and properties by willpower coupled with rhythmic breathing, but they also develop spiritual faculties, or rather aid in their unfoldment in the same way. The Oriental philosophies teach that man has many faculties which are present and in a dormant state, but which will become unfolded as the race progresses. They also teach that man, by the proper effort of the will, aided by favorable conditions, may aid in the unfoldment of these spiritual faculties and develop them much sooner than in the ordinary process of evolution. In other words, one may now develop spiritual powers of consciousness which will not become the common property of the race until after long ages of gradual development under the law of evolution. In all of the exercises directed towards this end, rhythmic breathing plays an important part. There is, of course, no mystic property in the breath itself which produces such wonderful results, but the rhythm produced by the yogi breath is such as to bring the whole system, including the brain, under perfect control and in perfect harmony, and by this means the most perfect condition is obtained for the unfoldment of these latent faculties. In this work, we cannot go deeply into the philosophy of the East regarding spiritual development because this subject will require volumes to cover, and then again the subject is too abstruse to interest the average reader. Rest assured that when the time comes for you to take the next step, the way will be opened out before you.